Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football, taking a look at another 2023 NFL mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks. This is post Chicago Bears trade down, and this trade impacts a lot more teams than just the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. In terms of, we're looking at almost a guarantee at this point that 4 quarterbacks are going in those first 5 picks. And what does that mean? It looks like Jalen Carter or Will Anderson will be there for the Seattle Seahawks at pick 5. That is absolutely massive for Seattle. And when you look at winners of this trade, yeah, Chicago got a lot. Seattle might be the team that benefits the most from this trade down, as it seems like they're guaranteed one of the two in Anderson or Will Carter, who, looking back at last year's draft, like those two guys probably would have been the first overall pick. So at number 5, you're getting a first overall pick caliber kind of player. Before we get into it again, I just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Seattle Seahawks fans. The last mock we did 3 weeks ago, you guys gave a ton of feedback, had some disagreements with some of my picks. Took a look at those comments. We'll try to kind of follow some of those the feedback that you guys gave, and the support was absolutely awesome. This is why I do it. I love talking football and NFL draft stuff with everyone in the comment section, so that means a lot. Let's get into this mock, fire it up, and let's see who falls to Seattle at number 5. And it's Jalen Carter. And that's probably the player you're rooting for. I know Jalen Carter's had some off-the-field issues with the accident that happened way back in January. But in terms of if everything kind of works out with him off the field, he is the most dominant player in this draft class. And when you look at how big of a steal this guy would be at the top 5 pick, would have been the first overall pick last year. But it's so rare. Will Anderson's awesome, but it's so rare to have an interior defensive lineman that is as disruptive and as much of a game wrecker as Jalen Carter. Not only is the run game going to get better, the run defense going to get better, he generates so much pass rush from that inside, and that's a rare breed. You can kind of count on one hand how many interior defensive linemen are able to impact the game as much as a guy like Jalen Carter could do in the NFL. That's an absolute steal for Seattle at 5, and you're really rushing that pick rushing that pick up to the podium if that happens on draft night. Now, pick 20. This is when a lot of the Seahawks fans didn't like where I went. I went with a wide receiver in Jordan Addison, who I think would be a good fit for Seattle. But looking at what your guys' feedback, you want to address the trenches, offense and defensive line. So we're taking a look at some more edge defenders in this class, and I really do think this is a draft where you can get a lot of good edge defenders. You see Nolan Smith sitting there. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, also not a bad guy, but I think I'm leaning Nolan Smith. You saw at the combine a 1.51 10-yard split in the 40. He ran a 4.39, which is absolutely absurd. You know, Pete Carroll leans to the athletic freaks. It's worked out for him in the past, obviously taking a shot on someone like DK Metcalf. I could certainly see him falling in love with Nolan Smith. Only played in 8 games, but look at the pass rush win rate, 25.5%. This dude gets off the line of scrimmage better than anybody in this class. And you see the weight, 6'3", 200, I believe he weighed in at 239 pounds at the combine. You would say, can he hold up in the run game? Nolan Smith is probably one of the better run defenders in this class, probably next to Myles Murphy and Will Anderson. Not only is he very good in terms of rushing the passer, he can hold up in the run game as well. He plays extremely hard, and the off-the-field stuff is what you love with Nolan Smith. As many good players as Georgia has had on that defense the last 2 years, when you looked at who was the leader of that defense, it was Nolan Smith. That is, when he spoke, people listened. So not only are you getting a phenomenal prospect, you're also getting a guy in the locker room that is going to help change that culture of the defense. And again, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, 2 Bulldogs from arguably 2 of the best defenses we've back-to-back in 2021 and in 2022. Some of the best college defenses we've seen. Sign me up for that pick. The defensive line gets significantly better with Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter heading into 2023. And again, you have so much capital to make this draft really, really good for Seattle. At 37, see, now I know you're not going to like the Josh Downs pick, but I really do think he's special in terms of a separator. He's a guy he's a quarterback's best friend. And if you were to pass on a wide receiver here, you have guys like Michael Wilson, A.T. Perry that I really like. But Josh Downs doesn't drop footballs. He creates separation. But you look at how productive he was at UNC. It's extremely impressive. All right. He's a little undersized, probably going to be playing in the slot, but really good contested catch. This dude has hands for days, but back-to-back 1,000 receiving yards and didn't even play a full season for UNC in 2022. He gets open like nobody else. His short area quickness, just truly special. He's somebody that Geno Smith is going to be able to look to get the ball out quick. Josh Downs will be that guy. I think Josh Downs here at 37 overall would be a phenomenal pick for Seattle. That I get waiting for a wide receiver, but if someone like Josh Downs is there at 37, I think you got to pull the trigger there. 51, it's both these guys, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Tommy Adebawore, both guys. I kind of want to address the interior offensive line as well, taking a look at who's still available. I would go John Michael Schmitz here. In terms of you look at what Seattle has especially on the interior. I love Charles Cross, by the way. He was my offensive tackle number 1. I think you are good for 10 years with Charles Cross playing that tackle spot. But you look at what they need on the inside. Phil Haynes, I believe, is coming back, but he hasn't been like extremely productive or very good for you guys. You want to get better on the interior. There's no more of a blue chip prospect than John Michael Schmitz. Phenomenal for Minnesota, was very good in the Senior Bowl. And what he can do, he's a phenomenal athlete. So not only is he good at pass protection, but in that zone run scheme, really good at double team and working up to linebackers. He blocks in space extremely well. If you're asking me who my favorite center is in this class, it's John Michael Schmitz. And he honestly could play guard too. I think John Michael Schmitz is the easy pick here. Fire me up for that one. John Michael Schmitz, one of my favorite prospects in this 2023 NFL draft. 83, 122 coming up next. Felix Anudike-Uzomah was hard to pass on because he's a guy that I have first-round grade on. Luke Weipler would be a really nice pick at pick 83 as well. And if we didn't address two guys on the defensive line, Karl Brooks is another guy. For Seattle fans, we're not going to take Karl Brooks because we already addressed that defensive line pretty significantly with their first 2 picks. But 49 pressures, kind of plays all over the defense as well. 23.8 pass rush win rate, violent hands. His get off for someone who's 300 pounds is really, really special. I don't hate them. I don't hate going wide receiver here. Taking a look at what Seattle might need. And again, this is kind of the area where you get away from needs and kind of go and get the best players in this class. I do think we got interior edge, defensive line. You may be looking at a cornerback. There are some good cornerbacks. Moro Ojomo is another guy that I really like. I hate to do it, but I think you might go get Karl Brooks and pound that defensive line. Karl Brooks is another prospect that if you guys have been listening to me, like he should not be here at 83 overall. 3 defensive linemen, I get is kind of almost overdoing it at points, but you can't pass up on a prospect that is that good. And I'm wondering what the Seattle fans think about quarterback. Like Geno Smith, 3-year deal. Are you trying to get your quarterback of the future now? I don't think so. I think you have an opportunity to get this team that was in the playoffs last year. You can get them significantly better heading into 2023 and in 2024. They had drafted extremely well in 2022 as well. Looking at who's falling here, Michael Wilson, got to be considering Michael Wilson. He's a guy that's a little bigger, and I don't mind coupling him with Josh Downs. When you look at what Josh Downs does, he's more of a slot guy, played almost all of his snaps from the slot at UNC. Michael Wilson, kind of the opposite, 6'2", 209, very good release too. And again, not sure how long Tyler Lockett has in the gas tank. Michael Wilson, the only knock on this dude is he just hasn't played a lot of football, and he played in an offense that kind of stunk at Stanford. Goes down to the Senior Bowl, finally healthy, and he was phenomenal. His release off the line of scrimmage, next level, big guy, uses his body well. I really do like that pick. 152, 155 coming up. This is where I think you can get another body on the offensive line, maybe a linebacker that you like. Dorian Williams. Dorian Williams, very good. Jacorian Bennett's also very good. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. I want to look at the tackle class and maybe just kind of for a swing tackle. No one really standing out there. McClendon Curtis would be a guy that maybe at 196 we're taking a look at, maybe 155. Actually, I might take him at 155. Let's take a look at who else is on the board. I do like Jacorian Bennett a lot. Jacorian Bennett tested extremely well. I know you got Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant. You feel good about those two guys. What else are we looking at here? Maybe a backer. Dorian Williams is very good. Tested extremely well. I could get down with Dorian. Let's go get Dorian Williams. He played really good at Tulane. He's very good in coverage. And when you're looking at what you want for a linebacker at the next level, phenomenal in space, carries tight ends, very, very good in coverage. Moro Ojomo, another guy that if we didn't get a guy like Karl Brooks, I would love taking that. I think we're going to go Ja'Cory Bennett. He's kind of the last cornerback that I really like, and this is a very deep cornerback class. But after that, Keitrell Clark, not a bad nickel guy, but I think it kind of gets a little barren. But Ja'Cory Bennett, I think, can play outside. I think he can play inside. I think he adds another body to that team. And he could be a guy that if you need him to start year one as a rookie, I think he has the body and the athleticism to do that. I really want McClendon Curtis to be there at 196. If there was a pick that I wanted to make it, it would have probably been McClendon Curtis. Let's see the Houston Texans get him. McClendon Curtis is a very good prospect. Swing tackle. Cam Jones would have been a nice. Bryce Ford Wheaton. If we didn't get Michael Wilson, I would have loved Bryce Ford Wheaton there. Taking a look at this linebacker group, I like Cam Jones. I wish he played his full senior season. Mohamed Diabate is a good ball player. Taking a look at the safety group. Now you're just looking for depth. You're looking for guys that are going to provide a little bit of a spark here. Keaton Mitchell. Talk about spark. Ronnie Bell. Ricky Stromberg. Ricky Stromberg is a steal here. Ricky Stromberg is an absolute steal for Seattle. A guy that's played a ton of snaps for Arkansas. And if you talk about day 3 prospects that can start year 1 in the NFL, Ricky Stromberg is one of those guys. Do I think he'll be an all-pro? Probably not. But if you can get a starting level caliber player on day 3, sign me up for that all day long. Final pick here. Maybe there's a pass rusher that we can kind of just stash away and maybe be like a Iko Leota. He's kind of my guy. Iko Leota had a phenomenal 2020. He got banged up in 2022, but in 2021, extremely productive. Kind of a pass rush specialist. And I remember watching guys like Derek Hall, Kobe Wooten to kind of get some film on them. And Iko Leota was a guy that kept standing out. I think he's a great kind of stash away. He's probably not going to play a lot year 1. I know coming off an injury, but an elite pass rusher that could help a team in a pinch. And if you can find a guy that just plays a certain role, I think that means a lot. Taking a look at this mock as we complete it, a lot of picks for Seattle, a lot of chances to get better. PFF loves it. Jalen Carter is an A+ pick. That is such Seattle is getting, I wouldn't say lucky, but in terms of you are getting in either Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, you're getting a guy that should be a first overall draft pick. And because a lot of needy teams at the quarterback position, a guy like Jalen Carter or Will Anderson is going to fall. Nolan Smith, another phenomenal pick. Josh Downs, again, I know Seattle fans were upset at me for picking a wide receiver at 20. I think at 37, it makes a lot of sense. John Michael Schmitz, I don't get how that's a C-. John Michael Schmitz is a top 40 prospect on my board. You get a year 1 starter at center or guard. I think that makes a lot of sense. Carl Brooks, Michael Wilson, 2 guys that shouldn't be there that late. Dorian Williams is not one of my favorite linebackers in the class. When you're talking about round 5, pick 152, that makes a lot of sense. This is a really solid draft for Seattle. And again, 2 first-round picks in the top 20, 2 second-round picks in the top 50. You're loaded with picks here. Seattle has a chance to improve on it. Very rarely do you make the playoffs and have this much draft capital moving forward. Seattle does that due to the Russell Wilson trade. Looking like they were big winners on that one. And this mock was, in my mind, pretty executed well. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Again, maybe you don't agree with that wide receiver pick, but again, I think there could be another wide receiver outside of DK, outside of Tyler Lockett that could help this offense even score more points. And again, we went defense heavy, and I think you got better on the edge. You got better on the defensive line. So appreciate you guys checking us out again. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and we'll talk to y'all later.